Hi guys, and welcome to your weekly general reading. So thank you for clicking on this video today. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to my channel and watching my readings. I'm just going to warn you right now, I'm very tired. I've had a big long work week, so I'm sorry, as you saw last week, if the English is not too great again. This is just what happens when Tani gets tired. It's just, language is just like bleh. So I'm going to do my best. And if you are new to my channel, welcome. This is Tani. I sometimes talk about myself in the third person as well. I love to do these readings for you because, especially weekly ones, as I watch weekly readings myself, and I find having that little heads up for the week really helps me take into that week the right energy in order to not beat whatever's going to come. If it's if it's predicted that there could be some challenges throughout the week, but I feel like I'm mentally prepared for what's coming, so when it does come, I'm not surprised and I know how to handle it. So it's just another way of giving advice to people. So this is why I love doing these. So if you're a new subscriber, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And now I will get to this reading. So this is from Feb 11th to the 17th. So we've got a few major arcana cards. It's actually a really interesting week with the layout because normally I read from left to right, but this week I feel like they've given it to me backwards. So I feel like I'm going to be reading right to left, but we'll see what happens as I get into the reading, but it's just a little bit weird. I feel like it's just a bit backwards for some reason. But the first major arcana card is number 13, Release. And then we've got the Clarifier, Partnerships and Alliances from our Psychic Tarot deck. And then we've got the Queen of Air. And the clarifier for that is Heartache and Loss. And then we've got Five of Air. And then we've got another major arcana card, which is the Shadow. It's called the Shadow in this deck, in the Psychic Tarot deck. But in the traditional tarot deck, it is the Moon card. And I feel like there's a couple new cards in here. All these clarifiers are newbies. We haven't had these ones before. And for the bottom of this deck here is, what are you? Queen of Earth. And I'll read that one later, actually. And then we've got another major arcana, 21, and this is the universe in the Psychic Tarot deck, but in the traditional one, it's the world. So we've got a few, it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? But I'm just going to have to start from this side. I just feel like starting from the left side is wrong this week, which is weird. Anyway, so we're going to go from righty. So the first card here, Five of Air, this is signifying an unwise choice. There is something in your life right now that you're not basing your decision in love. I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but base it in fear, which is, I like to call it the knee-jerk reaction. So I feel like with this card here, it's just signifying that you're trying to solve the situation too fast. You're not thinking clearly enough. And the situation too, because a clarifier is the Moon card, which is the shadow. And I kind of like to think of this as, I will read it traditionally as the Moon card, because the Moon card is it's behind the scenes, it's very intuitive, and it's your psychic abilities are quite heightened. But with this one here being a clarifier for the Five of Air, I think it's, the unwise choice is we're trying to solve everything externally of ourselves without looking at where the problem started, which is within us, and we're avoiding our shadow self. We don't want to look. There's something we've been ignoring and we haven't wanted to face, and that is the unwise choice. And this is really following on from the past 2 weeks. We are very much overcoming right now something very, I'm getting the heat again. They did this to me a couple weeks ago. We're very much, it's very inner work. There's something big we're facing right now, I feel like, and this has been really tough for us to look at. And it could be an external situation, the fact that it's affecting you internally. It could be you're in a job and you absolutely hate it. You may have a manager that's just beating on you, or just something, maybe the job is just not you. Like, you don't like the job, but you're going there to 9 to 5 and you're just like, God, I can't wait till it hits 5 o'clock. Could be something like that, and you're not facing that choice, like, I really should let this job go. As we did have the Sacrifice card last week, which was, I forget what that is in the traditional tarot, but it's basically letting go. You need to let go of it. And we are not wanting to face this in order to let it go. We're too scared to face this because it's very painful for us. And as Heartache and Loss, it's interesting because with the blue border, it's actually mental. It's not emotional. It may be affecting you emotionally, but this situation that you're dealing with here is absolutely draining you mentally, so much so that you feel like you actually don't have the energy to be emotional is what I'm trying to say. I feel like we're kind of struggling with. It's just, this situation is draining us. It's just like a bleeding artery, and we can't find the, the cover for it to keep all the blood in. It's just flowing, and it's just, we've got no energy left right now for life. And this is the unwise choice. You're choosing to stay here for some reason. I think it's because it's a very difficult thing to shift, and especially if it's within us as well. I know I was saying this last week too, and I want to say it again. I feel like this is an issue from the past. And I've said this last week too. It's almost like it's a re-lesson, and I know that's not good English, but I feel like we have, it's a really long-term situation within ourselves, which is from the past. We haven't wanted to face it. It's the one thing we haven't wanted to face. Or it's a lesson that we've already had before and we're going through it again. And this is why it's really, really draining us. Because you notice the second time you go through a lesson, you actually zap out a lot quicker than the first time, because you don't have the mental stamina to handle it another time. And then you're beating yourself up because you're just like, oh my God, I'm going through this again. Like, how stupid am I? But we need to face this, guys. And you need to get logical about it too. I feel like we're looking at it very irrationally. And we're not seeing it from, I know I said this as well in the past few weeks, from the bird's eye view, because we're so in the situation. When you're very much in the environment, it's very hard to see clearly. And they are saying as well is to touch base with your mates, touch base with people who know you. So maybe get an outside perspective on your situation and try and get a clear cut view of what is actually going on. Like, this could be, you may need a life coach, you may need some sort of mentor, you may need someone to guide you through this process if you feel like you can't do it yourself. And this is, like I said before, it's with the Queen here. To get through this is to get structure. I feel like we're not structuring our lives, and that is beneficial for us. The way we're structuring it is actually we're giving out all our energy. We're not keeping anything for ourselves. And that's why we're so mentally drained. I feel like we may even, like, this is not for everyone, but I feel like you've got either a lot of people relying on you, or you're just taking on a lot of the responsibility yourself and you're not delegating. And it's, why? Sorry. We're afraid to let go. We're very much afraid to let go of this because it's so familiar to us that we're scared what's on the other side because we can't see it. And we feel like we don't even have the energy to even look that way, and it's just easier to stay where we are. And it's actually not. It's harder to stay where you are. Once you make the decision to leave, to go, to let go of this, or face whatever's within you that you need to face, because there's no way to avoid it now, you're feeling it so much. You'll be surprised how easy it is once you've done it. That first step is the scariest, but after that, it becomes a beautiful release. You never face this situation again, and it's actually going to open up partnerships and new alliances and new people coming into your life. It's going to open up your entire world. We've got the World card here. This is going to be very fast. Once you figure out what this is for you, this is going to move very quickly, but just ask yourself this: am I happy where I am? If the answer is no, why am I unhappy? Then from that, once you figure out why you're unhappy and you face it, or you face whatever's within yourself too at the same time, because this is very inner work as well, because whatever's happening externally for you is completely overcoming you. And once you get to that point where you figure it out, you find out why you're unhappy, what's the reason, then you can get about the business of fixing it, getting organized, getting logical, rational, and be very structured, being like the Queen, and very realistic. We need to almost get into the realistic mind. Like, it's great to be positive and optimistic. I'm all for that. But on the level, because I'm doing the social media course, and this guy as well, it's so fascinating because he's very metaphysical in himself. He doesn't call himself that because he goes into the logical ways of thinking about it, because he backs everything up with science, which is great, because you love it when it's backed up by science. I'm very interested in all that too. But he goes the actual, a few levels that are in like your mental state is the lowest one, which doesn't serve you, is the overly optimistic, then it's the negative thinker, and then it's the realist. So if you're overly optimistic, it's saying like almost, okay, this month I'm going to make 40 grand. It's just like, okay. Like you're being overly optimistic and then you're setting, like I like to call it, you're setting yourself unrealistic expectations and then you get disappointed. So that's why that's such a severe way of thinking, and it's a very vicious cycle to get into because you're constantly getting lack, even though you're going, I can do this, this is, I can reach this unreachable goal because, I'm overly optimistic about it. And that's actually more detrimental than negative thinking. The negative thinking is above that, which is not great. I would not say you to be a negative thinker, but I'm understanding the way he's actually thinking about it, because the negative thinker is actually where you guys are right now, I feel like, with this. Or it could be the overly optimistic and you're thinking, I can set this expectation, I'm just going to get there, I'm just going to think and, it's all going to be all sweet. So it could be either way with this with you guys, but where I want you to go is to be the realist, which is a beautiful blend of actually both of them. Because it's not in the negative thinking in the way of like, what you're going to think negatively about stuff. No, it's about being real. So you can be optimistic about something, but set an actual realistic goal for yourself to achieve that, because that is both being optimistic and being real with it, and because I've done this before, setting myself unrealistic goals, it kills your motivation, and the more and more you do that, the harder and harder it gets to be motivated again. So that's just a little side note with this, but we need to change our mindset. And I do really feel like we need to find someone to help us through this, some sort of guide, but I feel like I just keep repeating myself, I'm sorry. But once you release this, I cannot explain to you how free you're going to feel after this. We've got 2 3s here, actually technically 3 3s. So what you're manifesting right now, like, it's not good. You can manifest bad things as well as good things. So what I would suggest to you guys is, what could I say to them? Actually, that's going to, what's the phrase that they need to say? Okay, I want you guys to say, I love myself, I free myself. I love myself, I free myself. And the free yourself is you finish that sentence, whatever you need to free yourself from. So I know that sounds really wanky, but trust me, you say this at least like 30 times a day, in the morning, night, in the shower, while you're doing yoga, somewhere where you're relaxed and not distracted, and say to yourself, I love myself and I free myself of whatever it is for you, because you need to start asking yourself the hard questions, and you need to start freeing yourself from this pattern you've gotten yourself into. Because once you release it, you'll never face this again, and you're going to actually find your people, and there's partnerships and alliances, and it's going to come very unexpectedly too. When you release this and you free yourself from it, there's something that's going to open up for you that you didn't expect, which is going to be amazing, and I'm going to love seeing that. And I'm going to end on this too. You're going to see the world with this. The world's going to open up, and make this wish right now. Make this wish right now with it. And it could be the phrase I've said to you. You can do your own phrase. You don't have to do that one. I just like that one because I feel like we really need to free ourselves from whatever the situation is. And saying I love myself as well is because I feel like there's a lot of self-hate here. And I feel like we're kicking ourselves even further into the ground. We're beating on ourselves. So that's why I've put that in there too. So if this resonates with you, please say that. Make a wish upon a star to get out of this situation as well. Do positive affirmations, and more importantly, get organized and take action and get yourself out of this, because you don't need to live here anymore. You are choosing to live here, and now you need to choose to leave. So I hope this has helped you guys. I feel like I've actually channeled a lot of that. I love it when I do that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this weekly reading. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, share my videos around. You can also follow me on Instagram for more inspirational content on @tani.langshaw. And thank you guys just so much for staying with me till the end of this video, and I'll see you next week.